Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about finding the inverse of a function. Here you'll find our steps. We're going to replace our function notation, and that's just the f of x or the h of x, g of x. We replace that with y. We swap our y and our x, and then we solve for y, and then we replace our y with our function notation. So let's go jump right into an example. Grab your notebook, make sure you write this down. Let me get it there a little closer. There we go. Okay, so first thing we do, we swap out our function notation, our f of x for y. Our next step is to swap our x and our y. So now we have x equals negative 3y plus 9. And now we need to solve for y. To get that y by itself, we need to get this chunk by itself. So we're going to move this guy to the other side. So minus 9 minus 9. So now I have x minus 9 equals negative 3y. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that as negative 3y equals x minus 9. Okay, now to get that y by itself, I need to divide. And in order to divide, I'm multiplying, so the opposite of multiply is divide. So I need to divide this side by negative 3 to get that y. There's that y by itself. If I do it to one side, I've got to do it to the other. So we have y equals x minus 9 all divided by negative 3. And then of course we want to swap out our function notation, which would be f of, and you put this little negative 1 here to indicate that it is the inverse. And so the inverse of our original function, this guy is the inverse of this function over here is this guy over here. Now you can write this a slightly different way. You can divide each chunk by negative 3. So you'd say like, so x minus 9, you divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. And what that would give you is negative 1/3 x, or negative x over 3. And then a negative divided by negative is a positive, so plus 3. So we'll throw in the f of negative 1 there. X equals, I'll squish that in there. But either way is acceptable. I just wanted to show you that there are two ways to write that. Let's practice finding the inverse on this function right below. Okay, so here we have g of x equals negative 5/3 x plus 20/3. Okay, again, we're going to swap out our g of x for y. And now we're going to rewrite it. That's a 5. Negative 5/3 x plus 20 over 3. Again, we're going to swap our x and our y here. So we're going to say, okay, x equals negative 5 y over 3 plus 20 over 3. Okay, so what you may notice here is that these guys both have a common denominator. So what I can say is x equals negative 5y plus 20 over 3. And since they both have a common denominator, I now have just this one denominator. I'm dividing by 3, and the opposite of divide is multiply. So if I multiply both sides by 3, I end up with, and I'll rewrite it over here, we now have 3x equals negative 5y plus 20. Negative 5y plus 20. Okay, for this guy, again, we want to get the chunk with the y by itself. So we're going to minus 20 from both sides. Perfect. And what we get is 3x minus 20 equals negative 5y. All right, divide both sides by negative 5. And again, we can do each chunk or we can do the whole thing. Either way works. And what we're left with is, I'm going to move the y to the front just to make it a little easier. So y equals, now we've got 5 over negative 3. That negative can be top or bottom, so let's say negative 3/5 x, and then a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we say plus 4, just like that. And then of course we replace our y with our function notation, indicating that it is the inverse of that original function. Hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.